Hey, welcome. We are live. It is College Talk Tuesday because today is Tuesday and we talk about college.
We do.
Every Tuesday. I'm Andy Lockwood. This is not.
I'm Pearl Lockwood.
That's Pearl Lockwood. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about some FAFSA and other financially glitchy things that class of 2017 need to be aware of. And those are seniors who are graduating in the spring. And
hopefully.
Okay, scheduled to graduate in the spring. Were you thinking about our own son? Okay. And just throwing it out there. And we are also, time permitting, going to talk about how to choose a college that is more for a class of 2018. I've been talking to a lot of parents of juniors who are starting to wake up and be stressed about, wondering what's the point if they're taking the SATs and the ACTs and doing all sorts of AP classes. What does that lead to? So if we have time, we're going to talk about that. Okay. And because this is Facebook, I thought we'd rant about politics.
I was trying to find the silver lining in the political debate and how I could possibly tie it into the college theme. And I think the takeaway from the weekend is this is actually a rare departure from my financial aid commentary.
But welcome
into the admissions.
Well, we'll see.
Admissions category, but clearly a theme of the debate on for the candidates for both parties this past weekend was, what did you do a long time ago? And is it out there?
Nice tie-in.
And recorded,
that's my little lady.
Documented, Facebook, Twitter, your comment, etc. And do the colleges look at that stuff in your student?
Huh.
And does that weigh in on an admissions decision?
Well, that's yeah. So, by the way, I'm just checking out our page. If you're watching, please like, comment, share. Let us know that you're on and you're with us. We're scrolling down here, and it looks like everything is going pretty well. So, the short answer to that intriguing question that you posed is that I recommend that every kid and parent do a social media purge. Get all of the embarrassing stuff off of Instagram, Twitter, and Pearl's a big Instagram girl. No, I'm just kidding. We probably should be, but
I know we should.
We're on Facebook.
I have an account.
We're one trick pony.
I don't know what to do with it.
We're basically Facebook, and that's it. We're all in on Facebook.
Yeah, but I think that's like wearing mom jeans and dad hat.
Dad hat?
Dad hat. Yeah, actually, I think that's actually a term.
Really?
Dad hat. It's
referring
not
to what?
It's like a baseball hat, but it's more scooped.
Like old school instead of the flat brim.
Correct. It's called a dad hat.
Interesting. Huh? I'm learning so much, and we haven't even started. So thanks. Yeah. So anyway, social media audit. Do your own social media audits because admissions officers absolutely. I think we'll do another show on that topic. I think you really stumbled upon something.
Thanks.
Nice job.
I tried.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's move on and get, because we only have about 20 minutes. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some of the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. FAFSA, not FAFSA. FAFSA. And the other form, the main form that's in use, the CSS profile. You were commenting today that there was a particular school in question that was having some issues, or you were having some issues with it in terms of filing for it, which makes me suspect that that's not the only school that this happens to, particularly because year after year there's all sorts of wacky things that come up. So please
elaborate.
Enlighten.
Okay.
I could have finished my own sentence.
But isn't it fun?
But okay.
When we say it together. All right.
Ew,
totally. That was bad. So, redirect.
FAFSA, profile, glitches.
Okay.
College.
I have talked about this at least every week before the forms came out. No, because this is relevant, and I always say my personal practice is not to submit these financial aid forms like the minute it comes out, because you can do so and then maybe learn about, if you're lucky enough, or you don't learn about some glitches in the system, because when they themselves, the College Board and the Department of Education with the FAFSA site, update to a new school year, the questions change, not most, but some, each year. This year was a big year in that the FAFSA came out 3 months earlier, and now both forms are based on a base year of a prior year, that being 2015, for this current 2017 graduates who are applying now. Which brings me to, I was adding, should I say the school? Oh, yeah, of course. All right. So I was adding, trying to submit a CSS profile to Quinnipiac.
What? Which
is a very popular school. So for those of you who perhaps have applied to Quinnipiac, and
or are thinking about it,
it was not, the code was not being recognized. The school was not being recognized as one that requires the CSS profile while I was in this student's profile. And I logged out, I logged back in, I checked my spelling, I tried every possible way one could to access a school, because I know that Quinnipiac requires both the CSS profile and the FAFSA, as well as I think even the non-custodial profile. But anyhow, for those.
I'm just curious why you emphasized the PIAC that time.
Quinnipiac?
Yeah.
Why you think the emphasis is on the Quinn?
Well, you said it both ways.
Oh.
I'm just trying to look at our comments here. Go ahead.
Okay. So, anyhow.
So what'd you do?
So then I checked the school's website, and that should always be your first practice. Is
as opposed to College Board.
Right, because if I actually went on College Board, so strange, and in their list of participating schools, which unfortunately they've only promulgated last year's schedule.
Promulgated?
Yeah.
You're on fire today.
So.
You mean listed?
That too.
I think Congress and the administrative agencies will promulgate regulations.
Yeah, but it's not just specific to Congress and legislative branches that are
agencies.
Or agencies. Only. Promulgated is, it's like a little p. It's not like promulgated and only unto government entities.
Okay. We'll fact check that one later.
Threatened by, oh really? Okay. Promulgate rules. You think?
You're talking about listing schools.
Whatever. Anyway, it was not one of the enumerated schools.
No.
So I still was uncomfortable with that.
You take one of our kids' Adderalls?
So I was still uncomfortable with that. I went onto the school's website, excuse me, and it seems to still indicate that a CSS profile is required at Quinnipiac. I have emailed the College Board, have not heard a response yet. And I have
contact Quinny directly?
I have not done that yet. That is going to be I'm going to wait just a moment, and then I'm going to try it again and see if everything comes back to life.
So what's the takeaway here? If someone as experienced as you, financial aid warrior herself, is having issues submitting forms or relying on the information on some places like the College Board, which may or may not conflict with other places like the school website itself, what's the takeaway for regular people out there who are not working with a professional doing it themselves, or even our clients who may be lurking?
Right. Contact the school. Contact the school directly.
Why don't you do that?
Look, buddy. I don't micromanage you, all right?
Who suggested you contact the school again?
In the first place? I don't think I didn't participate with that comment.
This episode is not going well.
No.
And there's only so many multisyllabic words that you can toss out to obfuscate the truth. OBSFE. Okay. What else do you want to talk about? Well, okay, let me ask you this.
There's something else I want to talk about.
Yeah, because there's definitely...
Yeah, okay, so...
This topic is pregnant with other implications.
Oh, so if you're continuing on a theme
go ahead.
Here...
Yeah. You want to drop it?
No, I was actually going to bring something else up that
this is awkward.
I've noticed.
Awkward.
A lot. I have... Well, if you want to continue that theme, then I will...
No, I'm just saying that there's all sorts of things that could happen. It's the forms change a little bit each year.
Correct.
Sometimes there's little glitchy things, like this.
It could be on a particular day. You'll notice if you try to do your work at 7 in the morning and try to enter your FAFSA information, a lot of times you'll see at that hour the site is down for due to normal maintenance, and they're doing whatever software updates, and then maybe on a particular day, I will unfortunately find, like, I'll submit things, and then you learn that there was a glitch that day, and you should go look at, and if that, and when that happens, or if that happens, or if you're concerned that it happens, you could always, log in and see it. And the truth is, everything does reconcile by the end of the year, financial aid wise. I will say this. Eventually, these schools that you've triggered with submitting your financial aid forms will be preparing a financial aid package for you. By the time you get that award and they finalize it, they will have your financial information correctly. And they will have...
So it may not look pretty initially.
Correct. It may take on a little bit of a life force.
Might be like that sausage-making comment that Hillary made about legislation. One of the WikiLeaks. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it might be like that. So it's not pretty. Behind the scenes, it's not pretty, but it ultimately will result in, hopefully, a correctly filed form.
Absolutely. And a right award, more importantly.
So let's talk, just to step back, let's talk about deadlines, because, different people tune into us, to each show out of the thousands and millions of people. And they may not be aware of all this, but there are very strict financial aid priority deadlines for each school that can be as early as October 15th, I think. Is that the earliest you've seen this year?
That's the earliest I've seen. And honestly, most are November 1st, as generally the earliest. But
right. So November 1st, November 15th, January, February, it depends on the school. So your best bet in terms of the financial aid forms is to get them in early, but not necessarily super, super early because of these types of glitches.
Right.
And because you're not going to win any awards or get more money because you've beaten a priority financial aid deadline. Now, that's different, just to be clear, because I can anticipate some blowback here. Mm-hmm. That's different.
Before means before.
Yeah?
Yes.
All the time. So it's different than applying for college and being selected or considered for merit-based scholarships, because in that case, generally speaking, earlier the better. So that's different than need-based, which is what the FAFSA, the CSS profile, and other forms required by colleges require.
So to really, to that end, early, better, period, under. That way you cover your bases. Don't overanalyze, well, this one's getting a regular decision, this one's early. Submit your forms, get it over with, let it be something that's off your plate.
Nice. Okay.
You have enough to deal with this year. No, it's a long year, and it's a stressful year. And
this is about...
As much as
this is the
you
peak
can stay
right now.
ahead of this curve, you're going to feel stressed out anyway. You know what it feels like? I don't know how many of you remember Space Invaders.
Here comes an analogy. I was waiting.
From the 80s.
You're the queen of analogies.
I like them, and they serve well for educating. Anyhow, so Space Invaders was a game for those of you out there who might not remember.
Everyone knows who's on Facebook knows what Space Invaders is.
Fine. So as everything gets closer and it gets faster and it gets faster, that's what this year kind of feels like.
Well, you say that every year in terms of how many forms you have to file.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think parents think that way?
I think they do in terms of how much there is to do and do right, and my FERPA and my Common App and my financial aid applications.
Don't get me started on FERPA.
And institutional forms at some of these schools, and how do I know what's due when, and how do I know how to file it, and how do I know what goes in these little fields that seem on its face that are relatively easy, but really I've heard that it's kind of a bait and switch and a sneaky,
You're actually starting to stress me out.
I am?
Yeah. I don't know if that was the intent. So
sorry. So, because we have a senior?
No,
just with our students?
Just the hand gestures and the intonation and inflection.
Oh.
That's a private joke. So, yeah. So what you have to do to I guess arm yourself against this is take a deep breath, unclench your buttocks, or anything else you might be clenching. And just get organized. It's good to have a chart of due dates, of what forms are required, of whether or not you submitted them. It's important to have reminders so that you can remember to follow up with each college to make sure that they indeed received the forms that you filed. If you later tweak your college list and add colleges. You cannot omit to send the financial aid forms to those colleges. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of stuff to get organized with. Of course, this is what we do for a living. So if you are interested in our services, just contact us on this page. But this show is really for everyone, even people who are not working with us. We're just trying to help you out. So get organized, and get organized early. And even if you think you're late in the game, I actually had someone who's got a senior today who I spoke to today, who she works literally 3 jobs. She makes a good income, and her daughter might have like 1 or 2 colleges on her list, but really has no idea where to go. And she may have started her essay and all this, and she said, I feel like I'm really late because all my daughter's friends have seen like 30 or 40 colleges since they were in 9th grade. And my response to her was that maybe compared to that artificial set of peers, which frankly we see a lot in our practice because that's typically who we attract, the parents who are proactive about this, but
right.
That's sort of skewed, alternate universe, I would say. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not even October 15th. Most early deadlines are November 1.
Ahead of us.
There's a couple that are October 15th. Some high school guidance counselors want forms in on the 15th, that type of thing. But in general, on the bell curve, you're probably right in the middle somewhere. You're definitely not early, but you're not as late as you feel. There's still a lot of stuff that can happen in a very short period of time. So, for example, just as a shameless pitch here, we're doing a boot camp on Saturday, and we actually have I think it's either 3 or 2 seats left. Because it's a very small group. Originally it was 6, but then we sold those out, and now we opened it up to another 5 spots because we got a slightly larger conference room. Apparently, I haven't seen it yet. But that's an all-day thing where we're going through the common application, the essays, and just making everything ship shape. And then there's some follow-up after that in terms of editing the essays and all that. So. Again, if you're interested in that, just post a comment here on the page. My point is that there's still a lot of time left to be able to do stuff, and don't panic, but don't put it off anymore either. I mean, if whatever you've been doing so far isn't working, meaning you haven't finished your applications and your essays aren't perfect, and there's no room for improvement, and your college list is totally done, or I guess not totally done, then now's the time to get serious, because it's not going to happen by itself or through divine intervention.
True.
What were you going to say before that may or may not have been FAFSA related?
Okay, I was going to say that I have fielded some questions about, does the order in which I put my schools on the FAFSA matter, or the CSS
That is
program?
FAFSA related.
It is FAFSA related. I've gotten that question a bunch of times, and there is a lot of chatter out there and confusion. And I can just parse through some of it for you to explain why there is some confusion and what I understand to be how things are, now at least.
Before you do, hi to Larry Cohen.
Hi, Larry.
Hi to Robin. Robin Matza. And please like, comment, and share, because this is how we get the word out. So thanks a lot. Go ahead.
So, does the order in which I list my schools have any effect on... Okay, so the chatter used to be, and thankfully as of about 2 years ago, they did away with other schools being able to see the order in which they were listed on the FAFSA, because there was some chatter, legitimate chatter out there, I should say, that some of the schools were looking at where the student put their school on the list on the FAFSA as an indication of their interest in that school and attending that school. And then they would take that information, depending if, I guess, the kid was number 1, listed their school number 1 or number 19, or in the FAFSA case, number 10, and make an admissions decision based on that.
Well, what were they, just spell it out, what were they in fact assuming that meant? What were they reading into it?
They were assuming that if they were 10th on the list, that the kid was not really as interested in their school, otherwise they would have been much higher up.
Right.
And
which, by the way, probably a safe assumption.
Right. And some people would just put them out alphabetically just to, make it, but anyhow. So they did away with this about 2 years ago, which is terrific.
It was actually last year. That was a big
it just
change.
last year?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Last spring, last April,
it feels like a lifetime.
Mother's Day.
So it was September when they announced it, when they promulgated that rule. Seems like a lifetime ago, but it was less than 12. What? It was less than 13 months ago.
Okay. Well, anyhow,
fun fact.
However, so thankfully we can all breathe a sigh of relief. You don't have to get too crazy with how you order your schools at all, with one exception, because I do not know what I'm about to say to be untrue. So I will still share it with you, which
I will fact check.
With respect to state schools,
factual,
your own in-state schools, you should list those schools at the top of your list, because that could bear something in terms of what those particular schools, in terms of the local state aid you may receive.
Right. In reality, they don't really count that stuff so much, but that is factual. They can see the list, and if you're a low income person, then you're eligible for money at state schools. But if you're a 6-figure earning family, then it's immaterial for the most part, just because that's life. Not a judgment. It's not not being politically incorrect.
We just
you judge.
We just give
you judge, young lady.
Everybody judges.
Okay, except us apparently. Okay, that's just another lie. Okay, no, I was going to try to make a Trump joke, but I can't do it. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes left. Should I get into how to pick a college in the last 4 minutes? You fine?
Yes.
Is someone texting you?
Yes.
Okay. So, again, like, comment, share, LCS, as we call it in the biz on Facebook.
Feel free to give us substantive comments, and if you have your own questions, please
this is where we'll answer
them
on our page. This is sort of an open forum for anyone who gets questions. By the way, on Friday, every Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we do our Friday FAQ, our Friday Frequently Asked Questions. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I've already been loading up some of the questions that we've gotten. So that's probably more appropriate of a forum to fire away questions. If we don't get to them now, we'll almost certainly, assuming we have room, be able to, and time, be able to, in a relaxed fashion, address them next Friday. So someone asked me today, and this is, I'm not divulging anything because this is such a common question that we get. So my son is good at X, Y, and Z, science and engineering, or history, or it doesn't matter. And he is starting to look at colleges, but we don't really know where to start, because I've heard you say, me, Andy, and Pearl say that you should really think about why you're going to college and then backward plan into it. But we don't have any idea how to do that. How is a 15, 16-year-old, in his case, he's a high school junior, class of 2018. How is a kid supposed to know, what he wants to do with the rest of his life? And then how do we pick schools that way? So my answer is, what I said was, listen, what I'm about to tell you is not universally accepted by, it's far from universally accepted by guidance counselors and other people in our field, and other parents and kids for that matter. Our approach is, and we've done this not only with ourselves before we implemented this into our practice about 3 years ago, but recently with our own son. And our practice is to include a combination of a strength-finding assessment. We favor one in particular, but there's a lot of them out there, followed up by an actual career counselor, who in our practice is Julie. And no, I'm not giving out her information because we're keeping her very busy and she's starting to freak out a little bit. And the point is to match up how a kid is wired, because what you're good at and what you like to do are not necessarily the same things. You hope that there's some sort of overlap, but they're not. If you're doing a Venn diagram, there may only be a sliver that is, that represents, both fields. And then take that information and decide, okay, well, based on how you're wired, here are some majors and some careers that jibe with how you're wiring, where you can actually also make a living in. Because it's very easy to go to college and learn nothing that employers want in terms of their workers, in terms of who they're going to hire. So the most recent poll that I read said that 93% of employers feel that college grads are unprepared. So 7%, the good news is 7% are prepared. But 93% are unprepared for work. And it's and you may be scratching your head thinking, how can this be? Well, look at all the majors that colleges offer these days. You've got like women's studies, and I know that is intentionally politically incorrect, but honest to God, when's the last time you ever heard of employers saying, get me the women's studies major? We need them here to help run our company.
Stat.
Yeah. What was that commercial? Stat. Remember, it was like a Excedrin commercial or something like that. Or marine biology is a little less politically incorrect, but again, the marine biologists that speaking for Pearl, that I certainly have come in contact with, are either working at SeaWorld, feeding Shamu, or they are on whale watches. They're working the microphone. So. But you can go to any college up and down either coast of this country and find a marine biology major. So the point is not only matching up, a career that will jibe again with not only your aptitudes but what you're good at, but also what that means in terms of your place in the world. And only then do I feel like it's appropriate to then backward plan and talk about what colleges you should be looking at, because for us, college is it's a great 4-year experience, hopefully, although that's debatable if you look at the statistics. But it's really not so much about those 4 years, it's about the 40 years after college, and meaning that college is very expensive, but you should be considering it an investment, which means that you should get something out of it more than what you put into it. So that I could go on and on. We could probably do a whole show on that one too.
Why should it be unlike any other investment, especially huge ones that you make in your life? This is a huge one.
Yep. So, anyways, we don't have a ton of time, so I want to get off the show now. But that's an answer to a question that, frankly, we don't get that much. We should get that question more. So that's not necessarily a fact. That's a SAC, a should ask question, not a frequently asked question.
SAC.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do Saturday SAC sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're overdoing the Facebook stuff. I feel a little overexposed. How do you feel? You love it. You love it.
No, I don't.
You do too.
No.
So the best part about our 2 Facebook shows, the Tuesday one and the Friday one, is that she has to put herself together and get dressed for it and do things like, brush her hair, take a shower, put on a bra and stuff. And
are you saying this is not what I look like when I do forms?
So, of course, I'm saying that you're beautiful no matter what day it is and whether we're on the air or off the air. But it's just nice to see put yourself together.
Well, thank you.
What do you guys think? Do not comment on that.
Please don't.
Okay. So we are, I think we're done.
Yeah, we're well done.
We're overdone. So thanks a lot for watching. Please, again, share this, and we'll be back on the air every Friday for the Friday FAQ. You can FAQ us any college question that you want. We still have opportunities for you to get your questions answered. Anything about getting into college, about paying for college, about the forms, about whatever we talked about today, about stuff that we didn't talk about that you think we should have talked about, whatever it is, it's all fair game. I'm Andy Lockwood. This is Pearl. We're signing off. Thanks for being with us on College Talk Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye.